my big sister Stacey, and this is Sisters Social Call.
We are two sisters talking about everything that sisters talk about. Welcome to our lives. Well, hey, sissy.
Hey, sis. How's it going?
Ooh, I'm very excited tonight. We have another guest. How are
Yes.
you?
I'm really good too. This is a fun guest. I have not met her until today, so this is a surprise for me too, kind of. Well, not a surprise. I knew she was coming, but I've not ever met her before.
Mm-hmm. We want to welcome all of our listeners back to Sister Social Call, and a special hello to all of our new listeners. Tonight, Christy and I are reviewing our most recent book in our Slow Readers Book Club, Done and Dusted. We are so fortunate to welcome Julianna Wager to help us unpack this book. I'll let Juliana introduce herself here in a second, but I want to share a quick story with our listeners about how Juliana and I met. Way back in May of this year, I was in New Westminster, Vancouver area, and I was buying headphones at a London Drugs. I shared with her that my sister and I have a podcast, and we got talking about our book club. Well, Juliana tells me she's a PhD student at the University of Alberta, and she's studying romance novels. Romance novels are not my go-to because I'm a prude, and I often find myself cringing at the romantic, intimate scenes. So this led us to a discussion about our summer reading list, and she recommended the Rebel Blue Ranch series by Lyla Sage. And the first book of the series is Done and Dusted. It was such a pleasure to meet you back in May, Juliana, and it's awesome to have you here to discuss Done and Dusted. Thank you so much for the recommendation. Do you want to take a moment to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Well, hi. My name is Juliana, and I just started my second year as a PhD student at the U of A. I'm in the English and Film Studies department, so I'm an avid reader of most genres and came to read romance novels specifically in about 2021. Growing up, I read a ton of young adult fantasy and dystopian novels, specifically The Hunger Games. Love those books. But the parts that I was drawn to the most were the romance plot lines. So when I was asked what my favorite book was or what I was currently reading, which happened to me a lot when I was growing up because I was a very vocal reader, I would usually have a more socially acceptable answer at the ready, like To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee or The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I felt that literary fiction was a safe ground for me to reside in, but when I started to get a little bit older, I found that I was really drawn to romance novels. I loved the romance formula. Two people meet. Most of the novel, they can't seem to be together, but they're always together, until they finally meet in a passionate moment and live happily ever after. I can't seem to get enough of these stories, which is why I'm studying them for my PhD. And I also just finished the first draft of my own romance novel that I'm really excited to continue working on.
Oh, this is exciting.
Thank you.
We're gonna read it as soon as it's out. You're on the book club.
Oh my God, thank you. I don't have like an agent or anything yet, but those are the next steps, and I'm really excited about it. That's my 2026 vision board goal.
Awesome.
That is very exciting. Can you tell us the title, or is that secret still?
Well, I don't know. It might change. So I don't want to say the title yet, but I can tell you she's also a PhD student, and there's also a cowboy in it. So I think it's really for fans of Done and Dusted.
I'm sold already. Sign me up. Put me on the pre-sale list.
I will.
Where's the book signing? We're coming.
Hopefully everywhere.
Awesome. Sounds awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's me.
We're so honored to have you here. This is very exciting. Before we get into the book, I'm just going to do a quick overview of the book from Goodreads. So here we go. She's off limits, but he's never been good at following the rules. For the first time in her life, Clementine, Emmy Ryder, has no idea what she's doing. She's accomplished everything on her to-do list. She left her small hometown of Meadowlark, Wyoming, went to college, and made a career for herself by doing her favorite thing, riding horses. But after an accident makes it impossible for her to get back into the saddle, she has no choice but to return to the hometown she's always wanted to escape. Luke Brooks is Meadowlark's most notorious bad boy, bar owner, and bachelor. He's also the unofficial fifth member of the Ryder family. As Emmy's older brother's best friend, Luke spent most of his childhood antagonizing her. It's been years since he's seen her, but when she walks into his bar and back into his life, he can't take his eyes off of her. Despite his better judgment, he wants to do a whole lot more than just look at her. Emmy's got too much on her mind to think about romance, and Luke knows he should stay away from his best friend's younger sister. But what if Luke is just what Emmy needs to get her spark back? Or will they both go up in flames? So, Juliana, what was it about Done and Dusted and the Rebel Blue Ranch series that you would recommend it to us?
So I was thinking back to May, and I was like, I feel like there must have been a reason that I recommended this specifically. And I checked my Goodreads, and I had just finished book 4 of the series, Wild and Wrangled. And I was obsessed with it. So I think it was just really on my mind. I can't remember now who Wild and Wrangled follows, but it's one of the characters definitely in Done and Dusted. And I think it's my favorite. I think the series was top of mind for me, but I also recommended it because of the family dynamic that's so present in this series. So Stacey told me about the podcast, that you're sisters, and I really adore like the sibling relationship in these books. So I think that drew me to recommend it to you as well. And also the Cowboy.
I love that. There's nothing that I love more than a cowboy romance novel. Or I actually would like my life to be a cowboy romance novel.
Me too.
Which I almost had that. Like I actually did, but wasn't quite the plot that I was looking for.
No.
Anyways, I'm super glad that you recommended that to us because I did enjoy the book.
Since you are a PhD student in English specializing in romance novels, can you describe if or how a romance novel plot structure is similar or different than a regular nonfiction book?
Yes, definitely. So I've been reading all the scholarship on romance novels. In the second year at the U of A, you basically become a part of the field that you were studying in. So I have been immersed in the scholarship, and there are definitely many gaps within this field, which is where I will hopefully come in. But there are 2 standout scholars who have defined the romance genre, and their names are Janice Radway and Pamela Regis. Radway wrote the foundational book called Reading the Romance, Women, Patriarchy, and Popular Literature, where she explores why women read romance novels by conducting a study on 42 women in the Midwest of America and asking them about their romance reading. This was published in 1984, and while things have certainly changed, the underlying reason that women read romance novels, I argue, remains largely the same. Women read romance novels to escape their lives and fall in love with a romantic hero who is tender and kind and also sometimes rugged and tough. Following Radway, Pamela Regis wrote A Natural History of the Romance Novel in 2003, where she defines that structure and formula of a romance novel, as well as what she constitutes as a romance novel more broadly. Regis defines the romance novel as, quote, a work of prose fiction that tells a story of the courtship and betrothal of one or more heroines, end quote. Further, Regis explains that there are 8 rules or elements of a romance novel, which are as follows: the society defined, the meeting, the barrier, the attraction, the declaration, the ritual death, the recognition, and finally the betrothal. Now, again, this text was written more than 20 years ago, and there has been a very dramatic shift in romance novels since then. Romance novels now are straying away from that kind of engagement at the end, and even the third act breakup. Indeed, Regis writes that, quote, a reader sometimes constructs a romance novel from the love plot in a given book, whether or not the book contains all 8 essential elements of the form, end quote. So while these are not necessary for a romance novel to be deemed a romance novel, I think it's a good structure to be aware of. I would argue that the current contemporary romance novel has maybe 5 of these elements. Definitely the society defined, the meeting, the barrier, the attraction, and the declaration, with some romances also having the ritual death and the recognition, as in they have a third act breakup. I will be writing about the scholarship in my dissertation, so this was a great exercise for me to return to Radway and Regis, who are essential to my project, with a specific question in mind. I'd also like to point out that while Radway and Regis are integral to my project, they're not the sole scholars I'm utilizing, because their research does not discuss race, class, gender, or sexuality beyond that of middle-aged, upper-class white women readers. Romance has diversified greatly since 1984 and 2003, so that's also what I want to capture in my dissertation.
Awesome.
So how do you see those elements appear in Done and Dusted then?
I think this plot structure appears with the 5 elements that I just listed, because this book, amazingly, doesn't have a third act breakup. I really don't like a third act breakup because I feel like you spend the whole novel just being super excited about the romance and then they break up and then there's like 5 pages at the end where they're together. Anyways, this book doesn't have that, but I think it definitely establishes the society. So Emmy Ryder is a famous rodeo star who needs to go back home to her trusted family and friends to regroup after a major injury, which is where we meet Luke Brooks, her brothers, her dad, and her best friend Teddy. So that's that society. At the very start of the novel is the meeting between Emmy and Luke, or in this case, re-meeting, where we see their attraction. The barrier they have is that Luke is best friends with her brother, specifically Gus, and she's off limits to him. And finally, the declaration at the end when he tells Gus that he loves Emmy, and then finally is able to tell Emmy himself that he loves her. The point of ritual death that I mentioned earlier, one of the elements of the formula, Regis defines as, quote, the moment in the narrative when the unison between heroine and hero, the hoped-for resolution, seems absolutely impossible, when it seems that the barrier will remain more substantial than ever, end quote. I don't see this happening in Done and Dusted. Sure, there's the moment when Luke and Emmy kiss in front of everyone, and her brother, Gus, freaks out. Luke punches him, and things seem pretty bad. But I don't think it was ever believable that that was the real end to their relationship. That's why I think the formula has shifted a bit since 2003. Many romance novels don't have believable third act breakups anymore that really come to be that point of ritual death, which is totally okay. That's just how I would define the genre nowadays, and that's how I would kind of categorize it in Done and Dusted.
That's great. I really love listening to you talk.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just going to be honest. I wasn't a big reader when I was young. It's kind of become something that I've really gotten into as I've gotten older. And I never really would have thought about like the in-depth plot and all that kind of stuff. So that was very interesting to me. Stacey read this book in a week. Okay, so she is the reason that our book club is called the Slow Readers Book Club, because she is a slow reader. Obviously, she found this book very engaging, and it reminded her of a romantic comedy movie. No thinking involved. Loves a good love story. And there's a little steamy action in it, which I even said to her, ooh, I can't believe you were okay with that because you don't like that kind of stuff. Anyway, she said it was consensual. And what was the other thing you said?
This is like a love story or sex scenes that we would see in a movie, right? Not an R or X-rated porn, right? Like this is a pretty safe description of a consensual sexual act of intimacy. So it wasn't uncomfortable.
Okay. Anyways, yes, that's kind of what you told me too, because I was like, I got to that part and I was thinking, oh my goodness, well, I wonder what Stacey's thinking right now. Because I like the ones that are a little bit raunchier. I don't mind those books. Like not long ago, I read the whole Twisted series, like Twisted Games, Twisted. I read those ones. Anyways, back to where we were at. Well, I enjoy this book because it literally, like, that is what I dream of for my own life. Not necessarily the story exactly, but I am just like you, Juliana. I really love, and Stacey as well. I love, I love a romance novel. I love romantic comedies. I love. I like that you pointed out that third act. I don't like that. I like it where, you're so excited, like you said, you're so excited for them. It's like, oh my God, I want to just see how this rolls out. I really love that in the book as well. And I thought it was just like a fun, playful storyline. Like I really thought it was easy to read. It was engaging. I definitely wanted to keep reading to see what happened next. But I was also, I just enjoyed the whole thing. Honestly, I'm excited to read the other books in this series. I read back in the day, what the heck? Oh, 50 Shades of Grey. I read those ones too. But other than the Twisted and the 50 Shades, like this will only be my third series that I've really read. All of the of all the books. Like I haven't really gotten too big into this type of thing. But anyways, besides sex sells, why do you think that this series is a national bestseller, Juliana? Tell us your thoughts.
Okay, I reread the book yesterday with this question in mind, and I have a few answers for you both. I think one of them is that cowboy romances are super popular these days. There's something about a man in a big hat that really attracts romance readers, and I get it. I personally love a cowboy romance novel. But I also think it has to do with the small town that Lyla Sage has created. I was enchanted by the descriptions of the land she provides, such as Luke's description of it near the beginning of the book, where he thinks, quote, Rebel Blue Ranch was the best place on this green earth, and I never got tired of the path that led along the stream, through a cropping of aspen trees, and up to where the big house was situated, end quote. Emmy describes it similarly when Luke takes her to go swimming. She says, quote, we made our way out of the trees and into a small clearing. It was lush and green with patches of wildflowers throughout. I could hear water running over rocks, so I searched for the source. On the far end of the clearing, there was a small waterfall that broke through the trees. Everything about it was serene. It was like a painting, end quote. These moments where the characters stop and take in the land around them are really special. They create a space in your head that is calm, serene, as Emmy said, and also, at least for me, very different from my actual life. I don't stumble upon waterfalls in my everyday routine with a cowboy leading the way, unfortunately. I think it's a mixture. I think it's a mixture of that desire for beauty that many readers crave and the small town charm that is quite apparent in this series. I also think Lyla Sage answers this question herself on page 5. Emmy has just returned to Meadowlark and the ranch, and she's reflecting on her position here. She thinks, quote, that was the thing about Meadowlark. It was predictable, comfortable even, end quote. This world that Sage has created is comfortable, and the genre itself is predictable. 2 essential elements for a successful romance novel, in my opinion.
In a world that seems very chaotic right now, for many reasons, I think a predictable love story is exactly how we would like to escape a little bit.
Totally.
Thank you, Juliana, for sharing your thoughts on this book and the series.
Of course. Thank you for letting me talk about it.
Before we get into our peaks, pits, and plans for the week, with Christmas being around the corner, can you give us a holiday-themed romance novel recommendation and then maybe one other general book recommendation for our listeners?
Absolutely. I love a good holiday romance novel. I've read quite a few, but they do tend to not be very good. So I do have an answer for you, though. It's twofold. So I'm a part of a romance book club at a bookstore called Magpie Books here in Edmonton, Alberta. For the holiday season this year, we're reading 2 Christmas romance novels. I've already read one of them, which is what I can recommend, and the other book I have high hopes for. So either one I think should do it. So the first book is called A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. This book is very, very steamy, so it might not be for Stacey.
Oh! I might have to get that in my stocking.
Yeah, I think, Krista, you probably will like it. So it also has a raunchy premise. As advertised, A Merry Little Meet Cute is, quote, a steamy, plus-size holiday rom-com about an adult film star who is semi-accidentally cast as a lead in a family-friendly Christmas movie with the former bad boy pop star who she may or may not fall in love with, end quote. This is co-written by the author of Dumplin', and I really enjoyed the exploration of Bee's identity as a plus-size woman and an adult film star, something I don't know anything about. This book is actually the first in a holiday romance series, but I think the first one is the best of the 3. The other book, the one that I have yet to read, is called Good Spirits by B.K. Borison. Borison wrote First Time Caller, another one of my favorite books, and this book will certainly be less spicy than A Merry Little Meet Cute. Good Spirits follows the ghost of Christmas past named Noah Callahan, whose haunting assignment for this Christmas is Harriet York. I imagine this novel to be whimsical, cozy, and the perfect novel to warm yourself up with on a cold winter night. And for general book recommendations, I have to stick to the genre I know best, romance, and recommend one of my favorite books, Not in My Book by Katie Holt, which I believe I recommended to Stacey when we met in London Drugs the first time. I had the pleasure of interviewing Katie earlier this year when I was in New York, and she is such a funny, kind, driven person, and I would love to tell you about her book. Basically, this book is set in a creative writing master's program, and it follows Rosie, who writes romance novels, and Aiden, who firmly writes literary fiction novels. But each class, they fight and argue, until one day their professor is so fed up with her antics that she forces them to work on a writing project together. They end up writing a romance novel, and it is such a great book. It's set in New York, where Katie lives, and Rosie is Peruvian, also like Katie. So there are many cultural elements as well that really add to the story. The cover is also gorgeous, so that makes it even more fun to pick up.
Well, I can't wait to put 2 of the 3 on my reading list. Chrissy will do a good job for us on the first one that you recommended.
Yeah, no, I gotta go pick that up real soon, maybe this weekend.
Right, put you in the festive holiday season.
I'm gonna need a little extra this year, so that might do it for me for sure. That's so good.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Juliana, you are far more articulate about literature than Chrissy and I ever will be. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law are actually professors at the University of Regina in English. So thank you for elevating our conversation about books tonight. It's awesome.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Wonderful. We have to stay in touch with you so we know when your book comes out as well.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
Are you on Instagram?
I am, yeah. My Instagram handle is kind of silly. I made it when I was like 11. I feel like very connected to it, so I can't change it, but it's Juju Rules.
Juju Rules.
Okay.
So that's my Instagram. You can follow me if you'd like.
And that's where we'll find when your book is published.
Absolutely.
I'm sure okay, perfect. Okay, we'll definitely make sure that we follow along and put your Instagram on our show notes. That will no problem about that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Our next segment that we always do every single week is called Peaks, Pits, and Plans. And it's an opportunity for Chrissy and I to check in with each other. It's kind of a mental health check-in, but also like our plans. So we go through our highs, lows, and our upcoming plans for the week. We would love to have you join us in that.
Is it the highs and lows of the past week and then the plans for the coming week?
Yeah.
All right, sis, why don't you start us off with peaks, pits, and plans this week?
Okay, well, I didn't have any pits until today, and I was really busy getting stuff done at home, and my kitchen sink plugged. Ah! And so I was just thinking to myself today, I'm like, this has happened to me once before. Surely I can fix this problem. I had bought myself one of those snake things. So yeah, so midday when I'm trying to get all these things done around the house, and just before I went out for my 10-kilometer walk, I am trying to unplug my sink. Oh, anyways, I got it unplugged, so that is a peak as well. But I don't know. I make sourdough bread and I just try so hard to not get a bunch of junk down the drain, but obviously I'm not doing a good enough job. But anyways, I honestly think somebody told me that it can be like a grease plug is what it's called, and but I don't eat greasy food, so I don't really know. Anyways, whatever. I ended up just like dumping boiling hot kettles of hot water down, and I could hear it in the plastic like it was working its way through, and then I had the plunger going at it, and then eventually I got it all unplugged, so I was pretty pumped about that. So that was my one pit for the whole entire week, and then that's also a peak is that I got that out or got that dealt with because I'm not great at asking for help. Anyways, I was like TSAC. It was almost on speed dial. My buddy, he just lives around the corner from me, and it's just like, oh, worst case scenario, I'll get a hold of Tyler and see if he'll help me out. Anyways, didn't have to do that. Okay, so to my peaks, the day off midweek is kind of interesting. Like it was kind of exciting today. I was just like, I don't usually start work until Tuesdays, but anyways, I worked yesterday and then I was off today, and it was kind of. I don't know, it was kind of nice. I kind of felt weird all day. Like it was kind of bizarre. But I went for a walk and there was all these people out. And I was thinking to myself, why are all these people out? And then I was like, oh, it's because it's Remembrance Day. And it was a beautiful day here in Saskatchewan. So we're super lucky. And then my plans, I honestly don't have a ton of plans coming up. I'm trying to make arrangements with Mom right now to hang out with me this weekend so I can pick up that Christmas tree from her. But she hasn't replied back to me. And then I have my women's group on Monday. Emergence, and then that's pretty much it for my plans. It's kind of a low-key week, which I'm very, very cool with. What about you, sis?
Well, I don't have any pits, so that's always exciting.
Always good, yeah.
Always good when I have no pits. Peaks, we had a pretty quiet weekend again. It's that just this time of year, it's November can be a little bit well, it's shoulder season. We've talked about it lots on the podcast. It's just a lot quieter in town, and the weather starts to cool down. The days are shorter, so you don't feel so guilty about not getting outside and doing like things. So yeah, Friday night, we had a bonfire with our friends, and oh my goodness, you guys, there was a serious peak, but it has nothing to do with the bonfire. That night we came home. I had taken a backpack with me. I was unpacking it, and my cell phone was in one of the pockets, and I found my external hard drive. This has been something that has been bothering me for about 6 weeks, that I haven't been able to find my external. Yeah, I had no idea where I had put it, where it had gone. And
when I was there for Thanksgiving weekend, you didn't know where it was?
No, it's been going on for about 6 weeks. I had traveled a lot in September. I was in Regina 2 weekends. I was in Calgary. I was in Whistler, and I was like, where is it? So I was quite stressed about it, but I also was just like surrendering to the universe, because I didn't really feel like in my gut that I had actually lost it. I just felt like it has been seriously misplaced. And I found it Friday night, and I can't tell you the sense of relief and how happy I am, because it has like all of our pictures through the entire years on there and some pretty important files. But anyways, it was mostly stressful because I thought I had lost all our photos, but it's okay. I found it, and I'm very happy about it. Other things this weekend, we like yoga, working out at the gym, just started decorating for Christmas. It was just like a really quiet, simple weekend. Oh, I did a puzzle, which I hammered through a 500-piece puzzle in like 2 hours. It was great. I love doing puzzles, Juliana. It's like a meditation to me. Yeah. Had a massage. Sean and I, we went to the hot springs yesterday. We hadn't gone since our ski passes expired last year. Anyways, so quiet weekend. We did stuff, but nothing crazy. So yeah, that was it.
What are your plans?
Plans. I have to finish decorating for Christmas, and I don't think we have anything coming up this weekend. I didn't write it down, I don't think. Yeah, I have an appointment with my therapist. That's it. Like, it's a really quiet week coming up also again, but like, just love nesting at this time of the year. It's so good.
So good.
Yeah. All right, Juliana, it's your turn to share us your peak spits and plans with our listeners.
This past weekend, I sang. So I planned this like musical showcase held at the bookstore that I mentioned, Magpie. And I just invited like my friends, because my family is in BC. And I sang like 8 songs for these people, and it was really fun. So that's what I did.
That's very cool.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, it was really, I've never planned anything like that before. So it was really exciting, and I had a really great time. I love performing, so it was really cool. And the pit was also that night, which is kind of silly. It was that I was like getting ready to leave, and I was like, I feel like I need stuff. So I threw like a full-size thing of ibuprofen into my purse, because I was like, I might need an ibuprofen. And then at the end of the night, I opened my bag, and the whole thing had spilled into my purse, and there was like 400 in the thing. So I was like, oh, right. So that was obviously very minuscule, but that's what I can think of. Yeah, so that was my weekend. And my plans for this week, it's reading week for students. And my second year is basically a reading week because I don't have any classes, so it doesn't really make a difference to me. But I am going to San Francisco later this week for a conference where I'm presenting on this Indigenous romance novel called Love is a War Song by Danica Nava, which is really fun. It's like the Hannah Montana movie featuring Indigenous characters. It's excellent. Another recommendation. So I'm presenting on that at this conference.
Have you been to San Francisco before?
We drove, like my family and I drove to Disneyland once, we drove back from Disneyland once. And so we drove through San Francisco. And I remember I watched the Scooby-Doo movie while we were in San Francisco, because I was like, I don't want to go anywhere, because I was like 10. So not really.
What are you looking forward to when you're there, besides going to the conference?
Well, I'm going with like 10 people from Simon Fraser University. That's where I did my BA and MA. And we're renting this big house. So I'm just really excited to hang out with them. And yeah, I mean, we have most of the same things. So I feel like San Francisco is really cool, but I'm mostly excited to hang out with my friends.
That's great.
That'll be lovely.
Can you tell me a bit more about your singing? What were you doing,
sure.
covers or your own music, or like I'm just really curious about that part of you too.
Sure. I sang covers. I sang mostly musical theater songs. That's kind of where I usually sing. So I sang a couple songs from Wicked. Really excited for Wicked Part 2, which comes out next week. And I sang Rose's Turn from the musical Gypsy. Maybe This Time from Cabaret. Just kind of like big classic musical theater songs. I'm hoping to write music myself. It's a skill that I'm trying to work on. And if I can write a second novel, I think it'll be about a pop star. So that's my plan, is to be like in that zone as well in my own life. Because I feel like the thing I'm doing for this book I'm writing right now is like method writing. So I'm trying to like be like the main character and really situate myself in that. So it's really fun. So for my second book, I'll become a pop star, hopefully.
Gosh, I want that for you so bad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love all your creativity and all the things that you do is very inspiring. I'm like, we should have a coffee so we can hear all the things. There's just so much.
Please.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here with us and for sharing all this information with us. It was wonderful to have you and to meet you. I didn't have the pleasure of meeting you at London Drugs back in May, but this is fabulous.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
We are honored to have you here. This is wonderful.
Okay, well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. Sis, do you want to share where people can find us?
Yeah, you can find Sister Social Call on Instagram. You can find myself, Krista, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and you can find Stacey on LinkedIn and Facebook. You can find Juliana on
Instagram. I also have a TikTok.
Great. Sounds awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Juliana, thank you so much for being here with us. This was wonderful. I'm so looking forward to getting into the next book. Oh, I think we kind of forgot to mention that, but Stacey and I are going to continue on with the series, at least for the next book for now. Maybe we'll take a pause in between. I don't know. Anyways, but we're going to continue on with the next book, which is called Swift and Saddled. That is the next one. So we're going to continue on with the series for any of our listeners who are reading along with us in the Slow Readers Book Club. That's where we're going to next. So hop on board with that. Anyways, that's going to do it for us, you guys. We will talk to you all soon. Love you, sis.
Love you too.